Basically, yeah. I don't think you need to. It's up to you. Believe me, I know.
Happens too often.
East 25th Street, 25th, like not 25, the appeal number.
Yeah.
Okay, just
20,
wanna
East
make sure.
25th Street. I got it. Yeah.
Check the document. I was like, oh, we have an appeal.
Okay.
It won't matter. Yeah, I don't matter.
Bruce hung up those cases are good and she was trying to do there. Or it's being dismissed. It was formally withdrawn.
Hey, Martin.
President of Bel Air Association, so I'm listening to them. They haven't met with us at all. Of course.
Hey, Martin.
Constituents, and we'd like to be some.
I'm Cass.
The new building.
That's gonna.
What's the request for? Oh, that's fine. Yeah. See it?
I want to put some. And yeah. They started. That's 2.5 years. Yeah, I remember that. Right.
What is okay?
It actually started on.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the Tuesday, February the 14th, 2017 convening of the Baltimore Board of Municipal and Zoning Appeals. Happy Valentine's Day. Hopefully we'll try to get everyone out of here in enough time so that those of us who were delinquent in getting things like flowers or candy or may have dinner reservations can get out of here without delay. And in full disclosure, I already bought my flowers yesterday, so I'm not speaking of myself. All right. A few ground rules before we get started. If you have a pager, a cell phone, anything that makes any kind of audible electronic noise, anything that plays a ringtone, a chime, it beeps, what have you, we ask that at a minimum you please turn those devices to a vibrate only, if not off position. And the reason for that rule is pretty simple and straightforward. There are a number of microphones which are arrayed around us up here, and those microphones are all very sensitive. They're not only for the purpose of amplification, but they're also for the purpose of recording these proceedings. And cell phones, pagers, etc., going off in the gallery and playing ringtones and such, not only disturb the general conduct of these proceedings, but also disturb the recording of these proceedings. Similarly, to the extent that you need to have a conversation, we ask that you please take that conversation out the double doors to your rear for the same reason. In addition, those of you who are forward of the wall above you, if you turn around and look, you'll see that there are 1, 2, 3 video cameras, which are mounted on the wall up there behind you, and there are 1, 2 video cameras, which are mounted on the wall up here behind us. And those cameras are actually recording these proceedings. They're streaming them live on the city's cable access network, I guess through the internet channel. Also, they're being recorded for broadcast on the city's cable access network and stored on the YouTube channel as well. So cell phones, pagers, conversations, and the like disrupt that process as well as just the general orderly conduct of these proceedings. We will be voting at the end of the day, and you're certainly more than welcome to stick around and enjoy a civics lesson if you so choose. But if you have other obligations on this, I guess, midwinter afternoon, as I had already talked about, that's certainly understandable, and you can call into the zoning board office in the morning and find out how we ruled in your case. If you take out pen and paper, I'll read the number off for the zoning board office a couple of times so you can get that down. The number is 410-396-4301. That number again is 410-396-4301. You will, however, need to wait until you receive the formal written notice of the outcome of your case, which should be forthcoming in about 3 to 4 weeks before you'll be able to get your permits. And we certainly ask that you please not build in the city of Baltimore without first obtaining all of your needed permits. If you haven't already done so, if you're here in opposition to any case today, we ask that you please sign in on our sign-in sheet that's being held up by Mr. French. The sign-in sheet allows us to know not only which cases generally have opposition, but also allows us to know who needs to receive copies of those aforementioned written notices I just was talking about. So please make sure that we have your information down so we can send that to you. In addition, we have a few cases which are being postponed, including some which have some opposition which is signed in. And so if your case is not going to be going forward today, but will be going forward at a later date, we need to know who you are and where to contact you to let you know when those cases will be proceeding if they're not proceeding today. The procedure for when the cases are called, if you're the appellant, you'll come forward when the case is called and you'll stand to our left or your right. The opposition, if any, will stand to our right or your left. Once everyone is up here, we'll get you all sworn in, and then we'll first begin with the appellant, who'll be given the opportunity to present their case to the board, let the board know what it is that they're proposing, answer any questions the board may have, present any witnesses, documents, etc., that they would like to submit in support of their position. Once the appellant has concluded, we'll then be turning to the opposition, who'll be given the opportunity then to present their side of things, their witnesses, documents, etc. in support of their position. Finally, we'll turn back to the applicant or the appellant, who will be given the opportunity to respond to any points brought up by their opposition, and then to offer a closing statement. We won't be going back and forth and necessarily delaying things longer than is needed. We'll generally be calling the cases in the order in which they appear on the docket after we first deal with some preliminary issues. First, we have we have a number of cases, as I've said, which are being postponed, and these are all cases which are not going forward today. Those cases are 2016-448, 1743 North Washington Street. That case has been postponed and is not going forward today. 2016-450, 2340 through 2348 Bel Air Road. That's Jose Lazo. All right. Our information is that that case is not going forward today and is being postponed. Is that correct? Is
The one on
Council?
Blair Road?
Yes.
Yes.
That's, here, yeah. Madam President, you want to come up here and you guys want to come up for session?
Yes.
Mary Pat Clark, Baltimore City Council. Yes, and the community and the applicants have agreed to a postponement so everybody can get together. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Rita Cruz, president of Bella, excuse me, I have a cold. President of Bella Edison Community Association, and it is indeed an honor to be before you today.
Welcome.
And you've agreed, that's what you've agreed to?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, they believe me.
All right, this is my first time as president of Bella Edison, so I'm learning, everybody.
You just solved the problem.
However, we are going to postpone the meeting so that I can get all stakeholders together, and hopefully we can come up with something that's agreeable to all.
Okay. Sir?
I'm Peter Schreier. It's nice to be in front of you. This is Jose Lazo. This is
Can we get a spelling of your last name, sir?
Schreier.
Okay.
And we were unaware that the community association was against it. We definitely want to meet with them. From the letters that we have that Ms. Clark was kind enough to provide us with today, because she found out a little late as well. This
Yeah, we're all-
blindsided everybody.
Sure.
But their goals seem to be in line with ours. We just need to be able to meet with them. So their meeting is the first Tuesday of the month. So I think to give them a little time to percolate, how long would the postponement be for?
Well, it'd really be up to you to let us know when you're ready to go forward. If you're going to have a dialogue with the community association, which sounds like you're completely amenable to doing, you would have the meeting, and then once you were ready to proceed after that, all you need to do is just contact the zoning board office, the number I read off before. Actually, what I can do is
I'll
give
take
you
care of that, Mr.
a
Chairman.
card, or you can work through the councilwoman's office as well, and we'll get you back in here on our soonest possible date after that.
Okay.
And they won't need to pay any more fees or posting, no?
No, no.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you so much.
Thank you all so
Thank
much.
you, take
Take care,
care.
thank you. Best of luck to you. Okay. Next, 2017-15, 2400 Clarkson Street. That case has been postponed. We also had 2016-270, 124 through 132 East Trenton Street, which has been withdrawn. And 2017-8, 352 East 25th Street. That case is being postponed. I think that's all of our postponements for today. So long as you've signed in on those cases, and we have your information, we can let you know when those cases will be going forward, but none of those cases are going forward today, and they all have been postponed. Next, we have a number of cases which are on our consent agenda, and the consent agenda consists of cases where zoning board staff has reviewed the files in these cases, and the board has concluded that from the information that we have in the record at this time, that all of these matters can be approved on a consent basis. We're going to call all of the consent cases together as a group. And there are a number of them, so if you can try to stay in the order in which they're called. The first person will come forward and stand right there. Everyone else will line up behind them down the dais. And once they're all up here, we will get you sworn in as a group, and then we'll call each case in turn. You'll be given the opportunity at that time to offer any additional information that you would like to have added to the record. First case on our consent agenda is 2016-335, 1113 South Charles Street, Melvin Kudinski. After that will be 2016-451, 852 South Bond Street, Caroline Hecker. Then will be 2017-7, 707 South Elwood Avenue, Steve Carroll. 2017-9, 801 St. Paul Street, Lisa Junker. Then will be 2017-11, 1438 1438 Battery Avenue, Sharon Snellham. And then 2017-14, 108 West Saratoga Street, Nate Prettle. After that will be 2017-16, 4524 North Rogers Avenue, Angela Brown. And 2017-19, PSCO known as 5805 Moravia Road, Tim Dwyer. It will be 2017-21, 1406 Jackson Street, Sandra Kraus. 2017-22, 1637 Clarkson Street, Matt Knofel. And also 2017-23, 932 South Clinton Street, also Matt Knofel. 2017-24, 2140 North Fulton Avenue, Derek King. 2017-25, 215 Longwood Street, Leah Penza. In 2017-28, 204 South High Street, Felicite Orezi. And finally, 2017-31, 500 South Collington Avenue, Colin Hance. Once the last person's in line. All right. If all those intending to give testimony can raise their right hands and be sworn, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, calling the first case, 2016-335, 1113 South Charles Street, Melvin Kudinski. Afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good to see you. Happy Valentine's Day. Let's hope that you're all sweethearts today.
Some of us are times two.
So times two.
Mr. Kudinski, we have this as an application to expand the restaurant's second floor live entertainment and dancing to the first floor. Is that correct?
That's correct. They already were approved for the second floor. They want to do the same thing on the first floor.
Okay. And Mr. French, anything for the planning department?
Yes, thank you. Martin French for the Baltimore City Planning Department. Planning Department recommends approval of this application subject to these conditions. A copy of the use and occupancy permit for the premises must be kept on the premises and available for inspection by representatives of Baltimore City at all times. A copy of the written approval by the board of the live entertainment provided on the premises, including details of any restrictions or limitations on the live entertainment provided, must be kept on the premises and available for inspection by representatives of Baltimore City at all times. A copy of all other permits and licenses required pursuant to the written approval of the board must be kept on the premises and available for inspection by representatives of Baltimore City at all times. For continuing outdoor table service, we recommend A minimum of 6 feet of the sidewalk must remain clear and unobstructed for pedestrian use. The capacity of the outdoor seating area on the sidewalk will be not more than 10 tables and 20 patrons. The tables will be limited to those that can seat 2 patrons and are to be kept against the wall of the building. There will be no outdoor bar, outdoor music, jukebox, or other form of entertainment, and all patrons must be seated for dining and served by waitstaff. Thank you.
Thank you.
That would be acceptable to the applicant.
Okay. Was there anything further you'd like to add to supplement the record?
Nothing further.
Okay. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, determined that there is sufficient information to approve your appeal. Good luck.
Thank you.
Take care. Next case, 2016-451, 852 South Bond Street, Caroline Hecker.
Good afternoon, Justin
Afternoon,
Williams.
Mr.
Happy
Williams.
Valentine's Day as well.
Likewise.
Justin Williams from Reservoir in Greenberg School, with my colleague Caroline Hecker and Ian Sokolowski, the architect on the project.
All right. And Mr. Williams, we have this as an application to use this property for retail space, 1 dwelling unit, and 1 efficiency unit. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Mr. French, anything for the planning department?
Thank you. Planning Department notes that this property is located within a designated historic district, Fells Point Historic District. Therefore recommends approval of this application, subject to the condition that all exterior changes, including additions, demolitions, alterations, and signage, are completed in accordance with an authorization to proceed issued by the Commission for Historical and Architectural Preservation. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Williams, are those conditions acceptable to your client?
They are.
All right. And was there anything further you'd like to add to something?
I have a file of exhibits for your review. There's a letter of support from the Fells Point Residents Association as well.
All right. Anything further?
That's all.
All right.
The conditions. So for your review, there's 3 conditions in the letter of support from the Fells Point Residents Association, 2 of which we agree to, 1 of which we would request that the board not impose on the project. That there's a they request that the board deny any food service use on the ground floor. The property is zone B22, and food service is permitted by right in that zoning district, and so we feel that that condition would be inappropriate. If there was an outdoor seating component that would have a conflict, the community would have to come back for conditional use approval to the board, and so the community should be protected from any negative impact.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, also, we sent correspondence in a few days before with updated plans to Mr. Tanner. I believe that's in the board's file as well. And
Yes,
the
we
new
have
plans are in the board's file.
Okay. And there's nobody from the community association that's present? Okay. Is that it?
Yep.
All right. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined that there is sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Thanks.
Thank you. Take care. Next, 2017-7, 707 South Elwood Avenue, Steve Carroll.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir. We have this as an application to demolish a 2-story rear addition and construct a new 2-story rear addition and rooftop deck at this location. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Mr. French, anything for the planning department?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Carroll, anything further you would like to add to some of the record in your case?
No, sir.
All right. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined that there is sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Next up, 2017-9, 801 St. Paul Street, Lisa Junker.
Hi.
Afternoon, Ms. Junker. We have this as an application to use the first floor and basement as a child learning center. Is that correct?
Yes, Early Childhood Learning Center.
Okay.
My
Mr. Fr-
kids won't be going there.
Nor mine. Mr. French, anything for the planning department?
Yes, Planning Department wishes to note this applicant has met with the Planning Department staff to review this application and the use. This property being located in the Mount Vernon Historic District, there was concern about possible alteration of the existing structure, but there will be none on the exterior. Therefore, the department recommends approval of this appeal, subject to the provision of an adequate drop-off and pickup plan for the children to be using this facility. Thank you.
All right. And Ms. Junker, this condition say by the planning department acceptable to your client?
Yes,
All right.
and currently being worked on, but not finalized yet.
Okay. Anything further you'd like to add to some of the record in your case?
No, thank you.
Okay. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined that there is sufficient information to approve the appeal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's.
Thank you. Same to all of you.
Next, 2017-11, 1138 Battery Avenue, Sharon Snellum. Jumping next to 2017-14, 108 West Saratoga Street, Nate Prettle.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Mr. Prettle. We have this application to use the premises as 7 dwelling units, is that correct?
That is correct. I would add that there was a revision made to have some leasable office space available in the basement to meet an urban renewal plan requirement and to satisfy a comment the planning department had. And those plans were submitted to your file last week.
Okay. And I do believe that we have those. Mr. French, anything for the planning department?
Yes, thank you. Planning Department wishes to note that, having met with and conferred with the applicant, we agree with their amended floor plan, which provides for an office space. The department would have approved this as it was, were it not for the urban renewal plan in question, which does require mixed use and does not permit residential only as a new development in this area. Therefore, the department is recommending approval of this application as amended.
Thank you. And Mr. Prettle, is there anything further you'd like to add to supplement the record in your case?
Yes, there should be a letter in your file from the Downtown Partnership of Baltimore in support of the application, and I believe their letters, the letter states that this helps meet their, I think, 2011 vision plan for the downtown neighborhood.
Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
All right. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined that there is sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Great. Thank you.
Take care. Next, 2017-16, 4524 North Rogers Avenue, Angela Brown.
Yes.
Afternoon, ma'am.
Hi.
We have this an application to enclose the first floor rear deck. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Mr. French, is there anything for the planning department?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Okay. And Ms. Brown, was there anything you would like to add to supplement the record in your case?
No.
Okay. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined that there is sufficient information to approve your appeal. Good luck. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank
and
you.
Get well soon. Next, 2017-19 PSCO known as 5805 Moravia Road, Tim Dwyer.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Mr. Dwyer. We have this as an application to install 9 additional antennas and 1 microwave dish with ice bridge and equipment to existing telecom facilities. Is that correct?
I do not believe this is existing telecom facility. It's existing BGE transmission tower.
Okay. Mr. French, is there anything for the planning department?
Planning Department has reviewed and recommends approval of this application. Thank you.
All right. All right. And Mr. Dwyer, was there anything further you'd like to add to some of the record?
No, there's not.
Okay. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed the application, we have determined that there is sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Thank you.
All right. Next, 2017-21, 1406 Jackson Street, Sandra Kraus.
Yep, John Sober, contractor, representing her.
Okay. And Mr. Soper, we've got this as a application to construct a 3rd floor front deck, 3rd floor rear deck, and 3rd floor rooftop deck at this location. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Mr. French, anything for the planning department?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Soper, was there anything further you would like to add to some of the record?
No, sir.
Okay. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined that there's sufficient information to approve the appeal.
All right, thank you.
Take care. Next, 2017-22, 1637 Clarkson Street, Matt Knofel.
Laura Van Meter, Knoffel, on behalf of Matt Knoffel.
Afternoon, Ms. Van Meter. We have this an application to construct a 2-story rear addition and rooftop deck at this location. Is that correct?
It is correct.
All right. Mr. French, is there anything for the planning department?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And Ms. Van Meter, is there anything further you'd like to add to supplement the record?
Not at this time, no.
All right. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined that there's sufficient information to approve your appeal. Next is 2017-23, 932 South Clinton Street. I guess you're here on that one too.
I am.
Okay. And Ms. Van Meter is, well, we have this as a application to construct a 2-story rear addition and rooftop deck at this location. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Mr. French, anything for the planning department with respect to this appeal?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
All right. And Ms. Van Meter, was there anything further you would like to add to supplement the record in your case?
No, not at this time.
All right. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined that there is sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Thank you.
Take care. 2017-24, 2140 North Fulton Avenue, Derek King. Afternoon, sir. We have this as a application to construct a one-story rear crematorium addition to a funeral home at this location. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. Mr. French, anything for the planning department?
Planning Department has no objection to this application. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. King, is there anything you would like to offer to supplement the record in your case?
Just a rendering of what the final product might be.
Okay. Have that in the record. Anything else?
Not for me.
Okay. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined that there is sufficient information to approve your appeal. Good luck. Take care.
Thank you.
Next, 2017-25, 215 Longwood Street, Leah Penza.
Hello, Leah Penza as well as Jeffrey Penza.
Afternoon. We have this as an application to construct a one-story side addition at this location. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Mr. French, is there anything from the planning department?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Penza, is there anything further you would like to add to supplement the record in your case?
No, sir.
Okay. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined that there is sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck. Take care.
Valentine's Day.
Likewise, to you both. Next, 2017-28, 204 South High Street, Felicite Orezi.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How do you do in that pronunciation, by the way?
You're almost there, Fereshte. But
Fereshte.
you got that. That's
All right.
better than
Close.
my professors.
Close.
You're fine.
All right. And we have this as an application to add outdoor table service as accessory to restaurant. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. French, anything for the planning department?
Thank you. Planning Department reviewed this application, recommends approval of this appeal subject to these conditions. A minimum of 8 feet of the sidewalk must remain clear and unobstructed for pedestrian use. The capacity of the outdoor seating area will be not more than 10 tables and 29 patrons. The tables will be limited to those shown on the approved site plan and are to be kept against the wall of the building or as shown on the approved site plan. There will be no outdoor bar, no outdoor music, jukebox, or other form of entertainment. All patrons must be seated for dining and served by wait staff, and the fence or wall separating the outdoor dining area from the public sidewalk will be constructed according to a design approved by the Department of Planning. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Orezi, are those conditions stated by the planning department acceptable to you?
Yes, sir.
All right. And is there anything further you would like to add to supplement the record in your case?
No, sir.
All right. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined that there is sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, 2017-31, 500 South Collington Avenue, Colin Hance.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir. We have this as a application to use the first floor front as a tattoo shop. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Mr. French, is there anything for the planning department?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hance, is there anything you would like to add to supplement the record in your case?
No.
All right. Zoning board staff, having previously reviewed your application, we have determined that there is sufficient information to approve your appeal. Take care. Okay. Now we'll call the remainder of our docket. And since there aren't any cases at this point which have opposition, we'll just jump into calling the first case. Figure out who that is.
Two.
Yeah, I think it's 2, right? 2017-2, 1640 Clarkson Street, John Garner.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir. Good to see you again. All right. We have this as a application to construct second and third floor additions with third floor front balcony at this location. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. If you can raise your hand and be sworn, please.
Swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
All right. Do we have staff reports?
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
All right. All right. And Mr. Garner, you were here, it's 2 weeks ago.
That's correct.
And there was I guess, a desire to have some better communication with the community who had come out in opposition to your plans. Has there been any discussion with the community since that point?
Yes, I reached out to the parties that were in opposition. I actually found out they hadn't actually reviewed the appeal at all, which I found to be a little bit reckless to submit a letter in opposition to something you don't know anything about. But I believe I heard you say there's no opposition, so I'm guessing they withdrew, although they never contacted me.
Well, I mean, there's no opposition that's present.
Oh, okay. All right. So I guess we should go through the full deal then. All right. So all I'm applying for is a lot coverage variance increase from 68.06 to 80.56, which is a 12.5% increase, leaving a 14-foot patio for a single-family residence. I've been developing plans for this property as a single-family property since at least June of 2013. I'd like to enter an email, I guess, as Appellant's Exhibit 1, which is an email of floor plans I sent for a single-family property to my mother back in June of 2013. I continued the project this March with added vigor. I called my neighbor at 1638 Clarkson, and I sent her plans via certified mail in July of 2016 in preparation of the tenants moving out this January of 2017. I met with Charles Lee at the zoning department multiple times throughout the summer and fall of 2016 to fine-tune the plans. However, before spending a significant amount of money on this property, I wanted to make sure I vetted all of my options. So I met with Mr. Jeffrey Veal, zoning administrator, on November 1st of 2016 to discuss the possibility of getting approval for a multifamily dwelling. Mr. Veal and I went through the zoning code and calculations for the floor area ratio and lot square footage per unit. Mr. Veal made it clear that I had a steep uphill battle, but he did not explicitly discourage me from pursuing approval because the zoning department did not have the authority to approve it. Approval had to come via a conditional use ordinance from the mayor and city council. We ballparked the approval at about 0 to 3%. So knowing it was a long shot, I continued the single-family process in addition to exploring the multifamily process, which led me to a November 2nd meeting with Councilman Eric Costello and his chief of staff. I detailed my meeting with Mr. Veal, and Councilman Costello informed me that he would introduce the bill for the conditional use ordinance if I got approval from the mayor, not the mayor, from the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association and a memorandum of understanding from the Area 30 parking liaison. I contacted both of those parties November 2nd. I also informed the councilman that I had single-family plans. However, we did not discuss them in person, or in depth, and they never asked for a copy and never contacted me with any questions about them. A variance such as I've applied for does not require approval by the mayor and city council. And at our November 1st meeting, Councilman Costello explained that he often works 7 days a week, often 80 hours a week. Therefore, I didn't see the need to bother him with this single-family appeal that I've done on my own several times before, and it's typically handled entirely through the zoning department. Furthermore, the multifamily design that I discussed with the parties above back in November does not require an appeal hearing because it uses the existing lot coverage and is under 35 feet. I believe Councilman Costello provided you with that email, but may not have provided the attachments, so I wanted to enter that as Appellant's Exhibit 2. The point being that it wouldn't make sense for me to go through this unnecessary appeal process if I was trying to do something illegal, because these drawings could go on straight to the planning department. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have drawn all this attention if I was trying to commit a crime. By filing my variance appeal in early January, posting the sign, and making the January 31st hearing, I was simply following through with my single-family plans. I think it would have been very foolish of me to only pursue a conditional use ordinance given that it had a 3% maximum chance of approval based on my discussion with Mr. Veal. I would have lost all that time without making any single-family progress. Throughout this process, I've been 100% responsive to Councilman Costello, his chief of staff, the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association, and the Area 30 parking liaison. I've reviewed my correspondence with the aforementioned parties and found that I literally left no questions unanswered. I made it clear that I was on board with getting the appropriate approvals for the conditional use ordinance and that I was available to discuss the project. I believe the board may have been under the impression that the parties who provided letters had actually reviewed my appeal prior to submitting their letters. But what I found over the last 2 weeks in email correspondence is that they had not actually gone to the BMZA office to review the appeal, nor had they contacted me to get a copy of the application. As a resident of this neighborhood for over 11 years, that scared me a little bit because it seems to me that you ought to review something before you comment, one either in support or opposition. Additionally, South Baltimore Neighborhood Association President Mike Murphy emailed me that he did not intend to imply that I was trying to do anything illegal, but that the intention of his letter was to make it clear that the neighborhood association had not approved proceeding with a conditional use ordinance for a multifamily property. It's in this same email that Mr. Murphy concedes SBNA has not evaluated the merit of the variances your property is allowed as a single-family home. He intended that to be reviewed by the BMZA and the Department of Planning. I would now like to enter this email exchange as Appellant's Exhibit 3. Prior to my January 31st hearing, I contacted my neighbors at 1634 Clarkson, 1636, 1638, 1631, 1633, and 1637. 1635. 1637 is the vacant house that was also on the 1 p.m. docket today. For the record, that's the 3 houses next to mine on the same side of the street and the 4 houses nearest across Clarkson Street. I own one of those houses, and I'm obviously in support of my plans. The other opinion I received was from my old neighbor at 1635 Clarkson Street. In an email, she wrote, "Your plans looked awesome for your place. I have no problems with it. I hope you get approved and move forward with that project." I also want to point out in this correspondence that I informed her that I went to the zoning office to review the plans for 1637 Clarkson because it shares a party wall with her house. Even before sending this casual email discussing someone else's plans, I took the time to go to the BMZA office and actually review the plans. I believe there is an inherent duty to perform due diligence prior to offering a statement that affects someone's livelihood and reputation. I would like to enter copies of this correspondence as Appellant's Exhibit 4. For the record, I want to clarify that my zoning hearing sign was posted January 10th, 2017. The zoning appeal document states that the sign shall be posted no later than January 31st, which was at the date of the hearing. When I submitted the certificate of posting to Bob Henry at the BMZA office, we were trying to figure out what the correct date should have been, and we thought it was January 11th, which is why the blue copy was dated that. However, the sign was actually posted on the correct day, January 10th, and a picture was taken upon completion. So I would like to enter the certificate with a picture as Appellant's Exhibit 5. I believe it is fair to characterize my appeal for a lot coverage variance as a standard or routine appeal. I don't have statistics, but my guess is that lot coverage variances are one of the most common appeals heard by the BMZA. I've already lost significant time on this project and have had my appeal compromised by frivolous, unsubstantiated claims. I ask that the board review my 12.5% increase in lot coverage, leaving a 14-foot uncovered patio, just as it would any similar appeal. I filed my appeal in accordance with the laws and guidance of the zoning department. I am under oath before you here today. I have done nothing wrong, and my conscience is 100% clear. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next. 1513 Bank Street and 1515 Bank Street. Caroline Hacker. Afternoon.
Bearing Valentine's kiss.
You. Ms. Penza, you know that you guys were already approved on a consent basis, right? Okay. You just want to hang around? Okay, that's fine. Okay. I guess, Mr. Williams, you're taking the lead today?
I am.
We've got this as an application to erect a 10-foot high fence on the front lot lines. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. If all those intending to give testimony can raise their right hands and be sworn, please.
You
swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, do we have staff reports?
Thank you. Planning Department has reviewed this application, and in conjunction with the staff of the Commission for Historic and Architectural Preservation, recommends that approval of this application be subject to the condition that the fence in this application is constructed in accordance with the design approved by the Commission for Historic and Architectural Preservation and is removed within 18 months following its construction. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Now, Mr. Williams, before we got started, we're having a conversation with Mr. French and your colleague, Ms. Hecker, about whether or not your client was willing to agree to, if not the conditions stated by the Planning Department, and an amended agreement, which would be for 24 months. Have you and your client had an opportunity to discuss that, and if so, where are you all on that?
Yep. For the record, Justin Williams, Baltimore, Martin Greenberg. We discussed the provision to have a 24-month time limit on the fence.
Yes.
And the client's amenable to that.
Okay. All right. And with that, why don't you tell us about what we've got here?
Sure. With permission, to proceed by way of proffer.
Yes.
I gave you a packet of exhibits for your review. I just want to walk you through a few things. The property is located at 1513 and 1515 Bank Street in the Fells Point neighborhood under City View. It's also a newer neighborhood called Douglas Place. It's the upper portion of Fells Point to the west side of Broadway. It's actually across the street from the Perkins Homes development. In your exhibits, there's a site plan and showing you the location of the properties. The properties were the subject of a BMZA hearing in 2008 when the board approved a variance is necessary to construct 2 single-family homes on the properties. In your exhibits, there is a copy of the board's approval in those cases. The homes were never built in that case, and since that time, the property's been vacant. And talking to the community, the property's been the site of a lot of negative behavior. There's evidence of use as a dumping area, loitering, drug use. A wooden fence on the property has been torn down. In your exhibits, provided there's a street view photo showing the wooden fence that was once there, but now has been taken down many times. Recently, our client, Matt Wilsey, who is the applicant, purchased the properties at 1513 and 1515 Bank Street. They adjoin the rear of his property at 408 South Dallas Street. And in the site plan, you'll see how the properties align. In the course of owning the property in the past few months, or even year, Mr. Wilsey has personally observed negative behavior, seen trespassers sleeping in the property. He physically observed a burglar trying to enter the rear of his house by walking through the broken fence onto his property. And so for those reasons, he's seeking to construct a sturdier fence across the front lot line, a 10-foot fence that would be attractive and also secure the property. We've had preliminary conversations with the Commission for Historical and Architectural Preservation staff, and they've signaled that they would approve and support the application. There's renderings and pictures of the fence that would be proposed. We'll, of course, seek and obtain final approval from CHAP of the fence design. A variance is necessary to build a fence greater than 3.5 feet, and so we're seeking 10 feet. In your exhibits in the outline, there's the reasons that we meet the legal standards required to grant a variance. Just want to draw your attention to the fact that the property is physically located 1 block south of the Perkins Homes development area. As the city has noted in its efforts to redevelop the Perkins Homes projects, there's a concentration of poverty there, and the poverty-related problems have spilled over to our client's property. And for that reason, we seek the variance.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Thank you all.
Also, I want to also mention there's a letter of support from the Douglas Place Community Association exhibits as well.
I did note that in your folder. And from the drawing that was included, it looks like the material is going to be metal.
Yes, sir. It's Corten steel.
Okay.
Corten steel at the recommended by the architect Ziegerstein to kind of blend with the surrounding brick kind of color scheme, essentially.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Matt Willsey. WILL.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Take care. All right, last case, 2017-26, 203 South Castle Street. Mark Jankowski. Afternoon, sir. We have this as an application to construct or retain a pergola on a rooftop deck. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Sir, if you can raise your right hand and be sworn, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Do we have staff reports?
Yes. Yes, we received a letter from the Butchers Hill Land Use Committee on February 13, 2017, in opposition to the proposal to retain the pergola that was, according to them, constructed without the requisite permits. More specifically, their primary issue is that the drawings that were submitted for the appeal do not accurately match the setback location on the structure. According to the plans, the pergola is set back 18 feet. However, according to the Butchers Hill Land Use Association, the pergola is set back no more than 8 feet.
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Jankowski, why don't you tell us what you're proposing here, and also if you can respond to the point that was brought up by the Green Association.
Yeah, so originally when we had the deck constructed back in, started in May, finished in July, the contractor was supposed to submit the drawings for the rooftop deck, an extension off of the back of the third floor, and rooftop deck extending all the way actually to that 8-foot setback with a 10 by 10 pergola to be set in the front. It came to our knowledge in December, right before Christmas, that actually wasn't what was filed. The pergola was not included in the initial drawings. As the owner, I was unaware of that. Certainly, if we knew that, we would have followed that in the first place. And to that comment, I did actually just see those drawings yesterday that were submitted when I pulled them offline because they weren't provided to me. That 18-foot setback is incorrect. It is roughly about 8-foot setback from the front of the property. Certainly, I'd be more than happy to have them, resubmit those drawings. I don't know why they were incorrect. That would be something I'd have to reach back out to the contractor to find out. The things of what I've been hearing in the local area of neighbors coming up to me is that they think it looks great. It adds a lot of appeal to the area, the neighborhood. They would hate to see it actually taken down. Certainly be more than happy to figure out what we can do to have those resubmitted, because, again, I did not approve of the 18-foot setback because it's not correct.
Okay. So I guess before the contractor did work, did they provide you with a set of drawings?
They did not provide me a set of drawings, no. I paid an upfront $1,100 for him to handle the drawings and the permits, and he informed me that they were all submitted and we were clear and good to go by the time he started in May.
Okay. And how about what work was he doing for you?
He was constructing the walkout 10 by 12 deck on the third floor, stairs up to the rooftop deck, and the rooftop deck, which was approximately 10 by 20 across the top with a 10 by 10 pergola attached to the front end of it.
Okay. And did he give you any drawings for any of that?
I was not provided any.
Did he go over any with you? Any plans? Anything to say this is what we're planning on doing?
Not anything in drawing. To be honest, the only thing that I received was an invoice for the permit that I paid him up front, and then I received an invoice at the end. This is I'm a new homeowner. I've only been there for a year, so I don't really know the process. This is the first big construction that I've done. So I probably should have got more information. And no, I did not review them. I didn't receive any drawings.
Okay. And what are the dimensions on the deck itself?
The rooftop deck is 10 foot wide by 20 foot long.
Okay. And now, is the entire deck 20 feet long, or is it the deck before the pergola 20 feet long, and then there's...
Yeah, it's, sorry, it was 20 foot run-on, and then it's the additional 10 feet past that. So I believe it's a 28 foot total when you include the pergola, because there was 2 feet overlapping of the 10 by 10 on the 20 foot runners that they put in.
Okay.
You've never seen these before?
I just saw those last night, because I pulled them offline. Yeah, because those, I guess, had to be amended from the initial ones that were submitted. Because to my knowledge, you know, again, I'm not a contractor, this is not my area of expertise. I was told that everything, we had our permits, we were good to go, and they started work on it. And I mean, we spent countless hours of trying to paint and stain everything, and obviously I would have done this on the front end, minus spending, you know, all of that time.
Looks like... All right, so it looks like the portion of the third floor that it's over is 48 feet long. So then,
The deck's about 40 feet long, I'm guessing, from looking at these drawings. If you take the 18 feet minus 10, assuming that is correct, that adds 10 here, 10, 10, and 20, it's 40 feet.
yeah.
Well, the setback, I can guarantee you is not 18.
No, we're just trying to figure out, is it 8?
It's 8 foot.
Okay.
Yeah, because we had to go all the way out to that 8 foot setback, which I know is required by the
That
city.
puts your deck from the rear of the deck to the front of the deck, rear of the house to the front of the house, about 40 feet.
Is that factoring in the stairs up as well, or?
No.
No,
It's just the portion of the third floor that it's over.
Yeah, because the portion of the third floor is measured out to be that 28 feet, because there's 20-foot runners, and then to do the 10 by 10, there's a step up to put the pergola of that 10 by 10 pergola, which would make it a total of 28 feet above the third floor. So again, I really have not reviewed those
That's really
drawings.
contrary to these drawings.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there are a few things that are contrary.
Yeah.
Okay, and what did the contractor explain to you that the dimensions of the deck were going to be?
For the initial part, or?
Yeah, so you said that you didn't see any plans or anything like that, because clearly these plans show an 18-foot setback. And you said that it was your understanding all along that there was going to be an 8-foot setback.
Correct.
So what was your understanding as to what the contractor was going to do?
So because we went out and we walked on the roof, went out that the walkout was going to be a 10 by 12 with the stairs going up, got onto the third floor, and essentially we went over up to the posts, because the posts were already constructed into the home, I guess when it was renovated 5 years ago. And we wanted it to go all the way up to that 8-foot setback with the pergola in the front. That's the conversation that we had. And that's everything I went over with him and what was supposed to be originally submitted. So that would have covered all the way from, the beginning all the way to that 8-foot setback, which I believe we measured was about 25 to 28 feet at that point. Again, it was eyeball because we were just up looking at it. From there, that's my understanding of what was going to take place.
These drawings show that your third floor is 48 feet long. Is that correct?
I'm not 100% sure.
Because if it's 48 feet and it's an 8-foot setback, then the deck is 40 feet by just simple math.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I was going. Is that there's something that's askew there. Do we have anything, David, from the permitting file?
Well, the record on the permit that was issued was for this second floor rear 13.6 by 12, and then the stairs up to the third floor for a 13.6 by 20-foot rooftop deck. So it was built 20 feet longer than what the permit allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Then I guess at some point, you were notified that it was beyond the scope of the permit, which led to this appeal.
Correct.
So we're here only on the height, not the length?
Yeah, the only issue is the fact that it exceeds the 35-foot height
Right.
requirement.
Okay.
Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we're off the record.
This went along with that photograph, which is how they're opposed.
Okay.
God, I know Virgil's done work for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, do you want to ask him something? Now, this is one thing that I always am confused by a little bit with these. Are the permitted projections into that
Yeah.
space? Because there are, there are projections which are permitted into, above that 35-foot restricted area. I'm trying to figure out what it was.
Let's see.
What the various ones are. I know it's like antennas and whatnot, but I thought that one was similar to pergolas.
I'll find it in a second.
Some of their okay.
What's that?
Let's do that.
We have,
For which one?
let's see, they have a photograph of the sign?
Yeah.
Let's see that.
Yeah.
You got that, Rick?
Yeah.
Okay. Carolyn usually doesn't do that kind of stuff.
No. Building heights, here we go, 1307.
When they originally scheduled this, it was on the 3 o'clock docket. Then they postponed it.
It didn't change the
They
size.
didn't change the sign.
Well, that's not good. That's not a good posting then.
All right, we'll deal with that in just a moment. No, it's not there.
Which section are you looking at, Jeff?
I am,
Looking for the height.
yeah, I thought I found it, but it's not. 1307 is how you compute the height, but it doesn't have the exemptions. Regulations. General height exemptions, 3-213.
I was getting close to it.
Okay. Does not apply to belfries, chimneys, cupolas. I knew it was another architectural flourish with an Italian name. That's kind of like almost like a dome structure, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it says domes. Grain elevators, fire escapes, flagpoles, flues, minarets, monuments, spires, stacks, steeples, ventilators, and utility poles. And then bulkheads, cooling towers, elevator enclosures, monitors, elevator or stairway penthouses, skylights, stage towers, and water tanks and air conditioning units, as long as these structures do not occupy more than 25% in the aggregate of the area of the roof on the structure in which they're located. Towers for any permitted accessory use or structure, as long as the towers do not occupy more than 25% in the aggregate of the lot coverage of the structure, do not extend more than 15 feet, do not exceed the maximum floor area in the district, then parapet walls. So, I don't know. Pergolas, it seemed to me, to fall, if not strictly within there, then pretty close.
Is cupola a defined term in here?
No,
I don't
other
think so.
than the standard dictionary.
Dictionary definition, no, I don't believe it is.
It's defined via iPhone as a small dome, especially a small dome on a drum on top of a larger dome, adorning a roof or ceiling, a gun turret, a cylindrical furnace for refining. That's it.
Yeah. But I think that it is akin to a tower. Because, I mean, all the thing is, as I understand it, is
Like a
it's,
architectural.
yeah, it's like it provides screening from the sun, and it allows you to hang things from it.
I think there's a difference between a pergola and a cupola.
Well, yes, there certainly is. But one of the things that a cupola is only one of the exemptions. There's towers for any permitted or accessory use, which is exemption number 4. And it's not. Yes, cupola has a dome over it, and
Right.
it's like it's a cup on top of a cylinder.
Which is not what we have here.
No, and that's what I'm saying. It's not a cupola, but I think that it is closer to a tower, which is exemption number 4.
They also, exempt the access, the dog houses.
Yes, so long as they're not living spaces. And so, to me, this is very akin to those. And particularly in that it's not living space, it's not fully enclosed.
All right, you talked me into it.
Okay. All right, that was the only one I had.
Yeah, me too. Did we get hold of Carolyn?
I was waiting to.
Oh.
Yeah. So got a problem.
Yeah. We'll let this people know what's going on.
I think,
I don't think Carol would do that. I think it's just, but it wasn't properly posted. That's bottom line.
What do we have there, David?
that's the posting form that they sign, that we give them.
Mm-hmm.
And
So it was supposed to go on the docket for the 31st.
At 3 p.m., that's
At 3.
That's what happened.
I see.
But
they submitted the application on the 21st of December.
I'm curious.
Are these people in opposition?
I hope so. Because
Yeah, otherwise. Have we asked that question?
I think Derek must have spoke to them.
Folks, if you can come up here. Okay, and you're here on 852 South Bond Street?
Yes.
Okay.
And you're in opposition to the appeal?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
As was the Residents Association.
Do you have a photo, I heard, of the sign?
Yes, sir, I do.
Do we have something from the community?
Just so you know, we've asked the appellant and their counsel to come back.
Thank you.
I think in their folder. We didn't find it.
It's 3 o'clock, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. You have your date right. You didn't get the time.
Good thing you were here early.
Okay, I just have plans.
Yeah.
Thank you.
By the time she gets back here, it will be 3 o'clock.
Hopefully just before. I saw that she had
You guys can
athletics.
you don't have to stand here.
Yeah, you
sit
can have a
down.
seat.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute, that's your phone.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's a nice phone.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Sure.
I guess we gotta feel like any
Mm-hmm.
Said earlier, things could turn quickly.
So, this is what we received from the community. And,
All right.
do they have?
Derek, were you able to reach her, or did you reach her office?
I reached her personally.
Okay.
She said she was going to leave right then.
I think we
Okay,
did.
'cause I think that I think it's clear that it wasn't properly posted.
Sure.
Which means it's gotta be properly posted before it can be heard.
Sure.
So I wanted to tell her that already to maybe save her a trip.
When we postpone, we don't generally require,
That's true,
because the time was off.
Yes, so here's the problem, is
Yeah.
that from the photograph, it doesn't have it's not, the date on it isn't for the original date, it's for today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
With the 3 o'clock time?
With the 3 o'clock
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, just for the postponement, we wouldn't have a problem.
That's right.
Okay.
We probably could say for a trip.
Yeah.
They gotta repost.
Yeah, you wanna call her back?
Reach her in her office or on her cell phone?
Why don't you call
Yeah, why
her
don't
back
you-
and see if you can catch her?
Yeah. Yeah. And if not, her assistant most likely can reach her on her cell phone. Either her or Justin.
See how quick. So what did they do? Did they read the record?
We should have.
Yeah. What I think is, just by looking at the dates,
Yeah.
so they filed it on the 21st of December, and they were supposed to be posted, to be up and posted by January 10th.
Right.
Okay, but it was postponed on the 5th. So I think that they never, because they got it right here, January
Right.
31st at 3 PM. So they were like, okay, we'll just change this.
Right,
Oh.
right.
We need him to email that to David or anything for the record?
If she wants to see it. Otherwise, we can repost it.
Chairman, if we put it on consent, should we go back on the record, just make some sort of change?
Once we figure out.
Right.
If she's coming or what have you, but yes.
I'd fight Merriweather for $100 million.
Hmm?
I'd fight Merriweather for $100 million.
Sure. Conor McGregor, though, we did it. So this thing is that Floyd's not a knockout guy. He's gonna make him a fool.
That's why I'm in charge of the
Yeah, it's a good cardio. It's 10 times better than McGregor, too. Cardio. McGregor can't go past 3 or 4 rounds.
I mean, they go maybe 5, but he goes 12.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing is that for some of those UFC fights, they will be 5-minute rounds, so at least it's got 25.
Yeah, but I mean, it's every time he fights past 3 rounds, he gasses.
That's right, yeah.
Many weeks of torture, meeting with Avery, going page by page, and then.
I've known Avery for a very long time.
Everyone has. He's been out for a long, long time.
I know Avery back
He
in
and
the SNL
Andrew get
crisis.
along famously. On some days.
Yeah.
Other days, it's.
Yeah, I've left him, I've made him leave the room steaming for difference of opinions before.
Coming anyway.
Oh.
Well,
as long as the board's okay,
Mhm.
we're good to postpone to whenever we need to postpone.
We'll need to repost that.
You need to repost,
That's
yeah.
what I told them,
Yes.
that they have to repost, new date, new time. Did the board want to put it, extend it to 2 weeks from today, or include the full following day?
It's gotta be 21 days.
We can let them know, when we get back to the office.
Okay, sounds good.
And then we have their information.
We do, yep. This gentleman signed in on the form, so that form allows us to contact you to let you know when the hearing will be put back on the docket. So it can't be more than, or less than 21 days, so it would be.
So it's actually gonna be a month.
Yeah, March, there's a March 31st docket or March 20th?
It's the 20th and the 14th, but it would have to be, I believe, the 20th.
Yeah.
But we'll notify you about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry for the
Appreciate that.
inconvenience.
Yes, we apologize.
But thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, we'll go back on the record. All right, going back on the record to address a posting issue and addressing the case of 2016-451, 852 South Bond Street. Folks, if you could come forward for a moment, please. All right, and if you can state your names for the record, please.
Christopher Schultz.
Ma'am?
Lauren Levine.
Okay. And Ms. Levine and Mr. Schultz, you've appeared in opposition to this case, and you brought it to the board's attention that there was an issue with the posting of this case, specifically that the time indicated on the sign for posting had indicated that the hearing would be today, Tuesday, February 14th, 2017 at 3 p.m., as opposed to the date at which the hearing is set at 1 p.m. Accordingly, and you've provided the board with photographic evidence of that as well. So accordingly, the board finds that this matter was not properly posted, and so the consent approval that was indicated on the record with respect to this case is vacated, and instead this matter will be have to be reset in for a hearing after the property is properly posted for the required 21-day period. Sorry for that little bit of confusion. We've got both of your names and addresses for the record. Is that correct?
Yes, you do.
Okay. So you'll be notified when this matter will be proceeding, but it will not be proceeding today. Okay. All right. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
All right. And with that, we'll go off the record.
Just one
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Not a problem.
Lucky terms, that's called glove safe.
Okay, and turning to the cases today, we already talked about Castle Street, and I don't think there were any others, correct?
I'm good with everything else.
Okay, all right, Derek, you ready?
Yes.
All right, 2016-270, 124 through 132 East Trenton Street was withdrawn. 2016-335, 1113 South Charles Street was by consent with planning department conditions and also pursuant to a MOU with the Community Association. 2016-448, 1743 North Washington Street was postponed. 2016-450, 2340 through 2348 Bel Air Road, that case was postponed. 2016-451, 852 South Bond Street was not properly posted. 2017-2, 1640 Clarkson Street, I am a yes.
I'm a yes, but I'd like to have some language in there that is, our approval is for a single family so that there is no confusion.
Yes, okay. One thing that the councilman pointed out was that in order to get multifamily use, he would have to get an ordinance.
Right.
So that's the reason why he said that he'd be willing to return if we wanted him to, but moving on, 2017-7, 707 South Elwood Avenue was by consent. 2017-8, 352 East 25th Street was postponed. 2017-9, 801 St. Paul Street was by consent with planning department conditions. 2017-11, 1438 Battery Avenue was no-show, and we'll reset that in for a hearing. 2017-14, 108 West Saratoga Street was by consent as amended. And did you have any conditions with that, or just with the amendment? Okay. 2017-16, 4524 North Rogers Avenue was by consent. 2017-19, PSCO known as 5805 Moravia Road is by consent with planning department conditions. I'm sorry?
In this case, we did not offer conditions.
Oh, you did not?
There's already something there. In the historic area.
Okay.
Let's look at the last six.
All right. 2017-20, 1513 and 1515 Bank Street was by consent with agreement to, well, that was by, I guess it was on the condition, rather, of, was it 24 months?
Yes.
That the fence be removed within 24 months, and with that condition, I'm a yes.
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 2017-21, 1406 Jackson Street was by consent. 2017-22, 1637 Clarkson Street was by consent. 2017-23, 932 South Clinton Street was by consent. 2017-24, 2140 North Fulton Avenue was by consent. 2017-25, 215 Longwood Street was by consent. 2017-26, 203 South Castle Street, I'm a yes.
Yes. Yes. Agreed.
2017-28, 204 South High Street was by consent with planning department conditions. 2017-31, 500 South Collington Avenue was by consent.
Were part of those conditions for High Street, the new Boston memorabilia in the building?
Unless it's, unless it's Brady's missing the Super Bowl jersey.
Jersey, yeah. 249, this is great.
Probably still a record.
Yeah, I'm noticing a decrease in the size of the dockets. I think that people are slow rolling their plant.
Yeah, yeah, with the new ordinance coming.
seen this handwritten in a while.
I think it'll be
The
busy
smart people
come
are
June.
waiting.
Well, and the closer you get to the date, the sense is.
It's gonna be interesting. As soon as we have the corrected